Okay, you people, I'm gonna try and do a daily vlog thing. So, if you don't know, me and my husband have another channel where we do weekly Q&As and we just have fun, go around town and share that with you. But I want this channel to be more focused on my day-to-day life and how I run my business. Well, Babu, my husband, is at work. So if you have any fashion business related questions, I'll be happy to give you my insight on that. So this is my first one I'm going to try for this whole week and we'll see what happens. P.S. I look really sloppy right now. Normally by this time of the day I haven't even put my face on yet. So I did that just for you guys, but I don't want you to get too spoiled. I don't believe in wasting 2 hours a day to put on full makeup and hair. So get used to the sloppiness. Usually in the morning I make my tea, and while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil I put away the dishes from the dishwasher the night before. Then I put on a load of laundry. Once that's done, I sit down and drink my tea, and then I usually watch like some YouTube videos or read some blogs or some business blogs. So anything to increase my knowledge. When that's done, I get to work. Recently, I moved out of my studio. The studio was costing me about $6,000 a year, and it was pretty much a glorified storage space. I usually work from home anyway. So we decided to save that $6,000 a year. As you can imagine, it might be kind of difficult in a tiny 650 square foot condo to run a fashion design business, but we made do. And so this little area is my sewing area. It's kind of messy right now. Usually I have it cleaned up before Brian gets home, but I've managed to fit everything I need besides fabric and stock, of course, into this cupboard. And it keeps it pretty clean. And then Babu also gets his little liquor cabinet there. And then here's my sewing machine. Don't ask what this is all about. You don't want to know. This serger usually sits right up here, but I'm actually designing a little cabinet to hide it. It's kind of hard to see what it's going to look like, but the back is going to be non-existent. It's going to be hollow, so it's basically going to be a shell, and it's going to look like a cabinet, but it's going to have little wheels hidden inside the bottom, and it will fit right over top of the sewing machine. And when I'm using the sewing machine, I can just slide it out and get it out of the way, and then it's going to have little edge pieces that flip up and becomes a table, so I can do all my drafting on top of the cabinet. So you got to be clever when you live in a tiny condo, but I think it'll be cool and it'll keep things looking more tidy. And yeah, ignore the clothes drying on the chairs. Problem is transporting the lumber when I don't drive. Full disclosure, I've never built anything in my life besides what I did in like junior high school woodwork, but recently I bought some wood and I bought a saw and I made a little sill for my plants to sit on top of. Let's see if you can see. I built this little sill, and you can see there's a little part that I notched out with a saw. I'm so manly. I created this sill that just sits on top of the very narrow sill that was existing there. I have to add another piece, as you can see. It's not quite done. But when it's done, I'm also gonna add some little wall thing to hide all this junk. We don't even use this heater, but it actually turned out, I can't believe how well it turned out considering I had no idea what I was doing. And my little tomato plant is growing some beautiful tomatoes, and I can't believe that these little tiny plants actually started growing tomatoes inside from seed in a tiny little condo. The beauty of this thing is that when I close these curtains, they fit right over top of the sill with no problem at all. They don't get in the way, and it creates almost a greenhouse for the plants because they get so much sun, and then it's just reflecting right off the curtains, and clearly the tomatoes love it. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. I'm hoping that the cabinet works out equally as well, so stay tuned for that in a future video. other day I was sewing and this crazy thing shot out of my sewing machine and almost poked my eye out. And it belongs here. And the spring goes in, and then this guy goes in, and then there's supposed to be this little cap. It's a threaded cap and it's supposed to go in there, but it's supposed to have a little piece over top that keeps this guy down. And then when you press this little thing, it lifts this up and down. But the cap broke off, so when I did this shot out and almost poked me in the eyeball. So I need to buy a replacement one of these thingies. But I can't find anywhere in Vancouver that has them. I tried to buy one on Amazon, but it was going to take like 6 weeks to get here. So I'm going to call around and see if I can find one. And it's called a presser spring regulator screw. Now, I'm super nervy phoning people. I think a lot of people are like that. I'll talk about this in a future video, but my anxiety really limits me a lot in my business. I don't like to call it anxiety, but that is what it is. I call it my nerviness. But yeah, it really limits me, so I gotta make some phone calls, and it's the scary part of the day for me, but you guys can watch me do that. Watch me be terrified. Hello, do you sell replacement parts for Juki industrial sewing machines? I'm looking for the presser spring regulator screw. Presser spring regulator screw. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye. Victory! Yeah, that was easier than expected. I can't believe the very first call we found possibly what we need. I'm gonna go in tomorrow and see. Just gonna call around to a couple more shops just in case what she has isn't what I need. And I'll get back to you. Okay, cruel world. We've had our tea, done a bit of work. So that means it's time for coffee. My husband can't stand the 2 dots it makes. He says it looks like vampire bite marks. Okay, next thing on the list for today is I have to do some more designing. It is the funnest part of the job, but sometimes it can be very, it's almost like you can get writer's block. So I've got this one fabric that I designed. You can see it here. So I sketched this fabric out and then I gave it to my digitizer and he digitized it. I've always been obsessed with ancient Egypt, so I thought the lotus in that classical ancient Egyptian design would be cool. And if you guys want to know more about fabric design, let me know and I can talk more about that. If you have any specific questions at all, let me know. I can tell you how it's done. Getting your fabric printed in big quantities and stuff. Yeah, it's quite technical, but I know I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, but I actually do know quite a bit, so if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to help. Usually when I design almost by accident. So like I can see something draped a certain way and then I just see a dress in my mind. So when I'm stuck, I just pile my fabric on the dummy or throw it in a pile with like some trims and then I get some ideas. So that's where we are now. We're just trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. If you're familiar with my line, I do kind of 1940s, 50s style stuff, but I'm trying to get away from the pinup thing because I think that's a little bit dead. So this one though, I might go for a more of a 1930s updated look. I have an idea in my head and I'm just gonna go sketch it out and maybe take a look at some of my vintage clothing books, get some more ideas that way and kind of clarify in my mind what I want. A lot of the time I don't seek out inspiration because I find that it gets in the way of my creativity, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, I designed this beautiful dress, and then I'll watch a movie and be like, oh, it's from that movie I watched. I didn't design it at all. So although there's nothing new under the sun, I like to be as original as possible, and that's also why I design my own fabric, because then no one's gonna have the exact same dress as you. I used to buy my fabrics wholesale, mostly my cottons, but then I noticed that some brands would find the same fabrics and make a dress out of the same fabric, and so even though your dress is completely original, it still doesn't look 100% original because it's made out of the same fabric as the brand down the street. So that's what I'm doing here now, and it obviously adds another step of difficulty to the process, but it just makes your brand that much more premium. And now I'm gonna go sketch out what's in my brain and we'll see how it goes. if you are a designer, you probably are already aware of this, but I strongly recommend getting a template such as this one, which you can print out. It's just a very faded outline of a woman's body shape, so you can draw your designs right directly onto it, and it's just easier if you're a crappy artist like me. So it just helps you get your dimensions better. So even though I'm a crappy drawer, I decided I'm gonna let you guys watch me do some of this. Okay, so I always start with the sleeve seams, and I do a lot of puff sleeves in my designing, but the 30s they had like a little bit poofier and longer of puff sleeves, so let's draw our puff sleeve to just above probably where the elbow would be, and a nice wide cuff on that one. Let's make that a little more poofy, a little poofier. So some nice poofy sleeves, and then again that's where the cuff would be. Little buttons there, and this is all going to be nice and sheer because as you saw the fabric is quite sheer, so there's going to be some gathering down at the bottom of the puff sleeve. Then I'm going to do a little Peter Pan collar, but much smaller than the 60s style Peter Pan collar that you often see, and which I've done on previous dresses. So I think, yeah, in the 30s they kind of, let's just do this first of all. So in the 30s they kind of had the reverse V going up under the bust, and then there'd be some gathering here to make room for the bust. But I'm gonna make this a split opening, so it's a little bit more sexy than like a traditional 30s dress might be, just to give it that updated, more modern flair. I like to add some modernity to my design. So there'd be some gathering in there, and then we'll have the bottom, the skirt part of the dress come out. And usually I had done my 50s designs and I had a lot of fullness in the skirt, but this one we're gonna stick to that traditional more 30s 20s look and just keep it closer to the body. I noticed that a lot of like calf length dresses are coming out, so although we never know from year to year what's gonna stay as a fad and what's gonna disappear, but in keeping with the 30s we're gonna make this a little bit of a longer dress. And yeah, so this will be fully lined in here. Fully lined so it won't be see-through, and we'll do some lining in here as well. And I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but that's how the dress is gonna be. Now I'm gonna color it in a little bit. And this is where you guys get to see my horrible art skills. So this is kind of just giving you an idea of what my fabric looks like. Obviously it's not going to be exact, but it's just to give me the general idea of what we've got going on in here. It's totally different from the actual fabric, but you'll get the drift when I'm done. Oh, and we've got a phone call. Hello? Hi there, thanks for returning my call. Perfect, okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Guys, we got another store that has our screws, so that's awesome. And I actually have a price this time, although I think his price is higher. He said $12, and I think you can get them for cheaper than that, but we'll talk to that lady tomorrow. But anyway, sorry for the interruption. Let's get back to the pretty dress. Wow, it's so much easier to answer the phone with fake audience. Usually I'm terrified to answer the phone and I let it go to voicemail and wait and see who it was, because I'm a chicken shite. I don't even remember what my fabric actually looked like now, but let's just finish this up. It's just to get an idea. I don't know, I think that looks really pretty. And I think it looks kind of modern. And now that I've done that, I have to draft the pattern, and then I'll make a test run with a piece of fabric that I don't care about, and then we'll sew it up and see how it looks. But that's probably going to be tomorrow after I fix my sewing machine, obviously. I'm going to start the drafting today, and we'll show you that basic process, and we'll see what happens. Friends, something has happened. I was going to show you how to do the pattern drafting part of the dressmaking process, but I realized I was out of paper. So I went and had my shower, got all ready, fixed my face, looked a little more human than I did before. But by the time I was ready to go buy my paper, it was already pretty much 4:30, which means it's time to start dinner for Babu, who comes home around 6. And I cook him dinner almost every single day. We have a pretty traditional marriage, which I'll talk about in a future video, but yeah, so every day around 4:30 I stop work and do the dinner, and then I can get back to work after dinner. But yeah, so it's just not going to happen today, so I apologize for that. But because this is a daily vlog and not just my business stuff, I'm going to show you our dinner that I make. And warning, this is not a foodie vlog. I'm not a foodie. The dinner is not going to be exciting. We're on a veggie and meat kick, minimal carbs. So it's going to be a pretty boring dinner, but I will take you with me as I do it anyway. So this is actually going to be the most boring dinner video ever because dinner is technically made already. We have leftover coleslaw from yesterday, and I'm just adding more cabbage to it so that Babu has enough veggies with his meal. And then I'm just going to add some more mayo and sugar and vinegar and whatnot, just to so it's not too watered down per se. And for kicks, a tiny bit of sriracha. Don't tell Babu, he thinks he doesn't like sriracha, but I put it in a lot of things without him knowing. And then I'm just gonna cut up some chicken and fry it up. Again, everyone, I'm not a chef, so I'm probably doing this wrong, so if anyone has any tips, feel free to pass that along. Just gonna throw some oil in my hot pan. Chicken right in there. I like to put salt, pepper, ginger, and garlic, and that's it. So dinner's cooking, and we're just waiting for Babu to get home. He should be home in about 20 minutes. And we're just gonna fold the laundry now, and we'll get Babu to say hello when he gets home, and then we'll have some din-dins. And Babu's home!
Have you ready for hair?
Babu got his new haircut. He shaved off all his hair. Looks like when I first met him now. Cute Babu.
Dun,
Anyway,
dun, dun.
do you want to eat now, or do you want to go get ready first?
I can get ready first.
What do you got? It's what we call in the industry a pile of slaw.
Yum.
Should that be the end of my daily vlog?
You should record yourself talking.
This concludes my daily vlog for the first day ever in the history of Double Land. Thank you for watching, and tomorrow we'll have another one. I think I will only last a week, but I will try my best. I don't even know if I will last the week, but I will try. Thanks for watching! Bye!